Hello and welcome back to Serendipity Intended. My name is Tracy Ann. I'm so glad you're here. We're there. It's the end of Junk Journal July 2026. It is day 31. Wow. I can't believe that we are at the end. I'm actually very sad. But let's take a quick look and see what our prompt is for today. It is Paper Soul. I have to confess, this one gave me a little bit of a fit. I really wasn't sure at all what to do with that. Obviously paper, duh, but Paper Soul, that really threw me for a loop. And I have to also confess that I've been trying to decide what I wanted to do for this prompt pretty much since we started this journey, because I really have not had an idea of what it is that I wanted to do. And I had a page picked out, and that was as far as I'd gotten. What I did know was that I absolutely adore this paper, and I don't want to cover it up. And I also have to respond to this prompt, Paper Soul. So I started to think about the idea of soul, right? The paper part is a given. I'm going to use paper. But I was thinking about the idea of soul, and I decided that when we think about our soul, we think about who we are at core, what is most authentically us. So I decided to tackle this prompt by thinking about what are some things that when I use them, they just feel authentically me. They're the things that we see, or I see, over and over and over and over again in my journals. And so I've assembled a few of those things, and that's what I'm going to use to do this prompt. So let me share them with you. The first is this distressed ink, particularly this shade, which is Vintage Photo. I use it all of the time. I absolutely love it. It is my favorite, and I am going to use it today to edge things, because again, that's something that shows up over and over and over again in my journals. And so I have to use it if we're talking about my Paper Soul. This stamp is my absolute favorite stamp of all time, and so it will be finding a spot in the journal. I think it actually looks really nice with this background paper. Also, I'm going to be using book pages because I love book pages, and I use it all the time. And probably also, although maybe not this particular piece, some sheet music. And then lastly, tags. Well, actually second to lastly, tags. I love to make tags and journal on them, on the back, so I can have something pretty on the front and then journal on the back. And then also I love the lettering of this, and the beach, while it's not a paper thing, the beach is definitely my place. And so that is also going to be part of this page. So the last thing that I thought of that is sort of, I guess, my soul, and I haven't done one in this journal, which is so unusual for me, is using a belly band. Love me some belly bands. And so that is the last thing that is going to be kind of my soul, the things that make me as a journaler. So the first thing that I'm going to do is make the belly band, and I do, like I said, I do want to keep this page. The belly band will also let me do that. I was originally going to use this piece of paper, but I don't think it's sturdy enough. Like, I just twisted it and it tore. So this is the same book, so I'm going to get the same look. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold it so that I have a couple layers. And actually I'm going to use my glue to do this. And I'm going to use my handy dandy gluing catalog. So I don't know whether you have just followed along with my videos, or whether you have also taken part in creating your own junk journal pages. I really do hope that you've been making something beautiful for yourself. And I'm curious, for those of you that have been creating art for yourself, you know what, even if it's not this challenge, just creating something this month, what was your favorite prompt if you were doing Junk Journal July? And if you weren't doing Junk Journal July, you're just creating, what was the favorite thing that you created for yourself in your journal? Okay, I'd love to see that in your comments. So I took the book page, I used a little bit of glue, and I folded it on itself. So now I've got this nice sealed edge, and definitely something much sturdier than I had before. And that will allow me to create my belly band. Now, I obviously don't want it to fit further than the page, but the challenge here is that my tag is almost as wide as the page. So I'm going to get a little bit creative here, and I'm going to tear the edge of this. You'll see why in just a moment. And I do think, before I go any further, go ahead and I'm not gonna, well, I guess I could edge this because, you know, it is my thing. It's part of what makes me who I am as a junk journaler. Okay, so I'm gonna fold this about here, and this is getting kind of thick because now I've essentially got 6 layers of paper. And then I am gonna, whoopsie, I am going to, this is awkward to have this over here. I'm just gonna move it over to this side. Okay, I also think this is flipping around, and it's, I don't know if it's annoying you, but it's definitely annoying me. So I'm just gonna use these clips. Get that out of my way. Hold that down just a little bit. There we go. Okay, so I've got this edge. I don't want to go too far in, because it'll make this seam bulky because it'll be right in the crease. So I'm gonna kind of go over a little bit, and then, so this is probably where I need to glue it down. I really don't want to cover up that. I guess that's okay. All right, so definitely need to use some glue. So I'm going to put a little mark here so I know where I want to attach it. Now, because this is going to get some wear and tear, because it's a belly band, I'm going to be pulling that tag in and out. I am going to, glue is, I need a new a new thing. It's completely dried and hardened. So put that in and just make sure one more time that it fits on the page. Now I'm going to wait to glue this down until I'm completely done with the tag. But my idea is, rather than gluing it onto the page, because that's going to take up a little bit of space and I'm afraid the tag won't fit, I'm going to actually fold this over to the other side. So I'll end up with a little snippet there, which I think will be kind of fun to play with. And that'll give me a little bit of extra space for my tag. At least that's the idea. I'm also thinking real quick before I go any further, because I don't want to forget, I'm going to go ahead and edge the paper, and I'm going to do the same on the back side, and then I'll be back. Okay. So you can see that I have edged both sides, and I just think that I love the way it ages the page just a little bit. And I probably could do this now, but I'll just go ahead and ink this now. And I'll do both sides since it'll show on both sides. Okay, so I've got my belly band here. Like I said, I'll glue it down later. But first I need to work on my tag. So I will move this over to the side. I just sent a whole cascade of things falling over on my desk. Okay, so this tag is a digital. It's printed out from a kit, and it's just copy paper. So I need to back it with something to make it more sturdy, and also because I don't want to look at the back, you can sort of see the image through the paper. So I have this, which kind of fits the sort of beachy boho vibe that I've been trying to go for in this journal, and it's also light enough that I can journal on it, which is important. I don't tend to have a lot of success with white gel pens, so I tend to try and choose things that I can use just a regular black pen with. So I'm going to just use my Yoo-Hoo glue stick, and the first thing that I'm going to do is go all the way around the edges. And this is why I love using a catalog like this, because I can be sloppy and go on the edges and get the glue on the catalog. It doesn't matter, because when it's like there, it's too sticky. I can just tear that page off and throw it away, and I don't feel guilty because it's just a catalog. All right, and then I will line up this with the edge, and then I cannot believe I got the glue on the front of this. Not my finest moment. Okay, so all glued down. Let me go ahead, get rid of that icky sticky page. All right, when this dries, whatever I haven't rubbed off, just a tip, you can use a rubber gum eraser. That's what this is called, a gum eraser, and it will get the glue up for you. It's a miraculous invention. Okay, so now I have my tag, and so again I'm gonna cut this out off of the background paper because I don't need the whole thing, and trim it off, and again edge it, and once I do that I will be back. And there we go. So edged it on the front and on the back, and now I have a tag that's a lot sturdier that I can use. So now, one of the things I really like about these digital kits that you can purchase is if I wanted to, I could stop right here, right? I've got a tag, it's a good weight, and it's got a beautiful image on it. I don't really have to do anything else. But of course, being me, I have to do something else. I can't just leave well enough alone. So I thought, since we've got kind of this beach thing going, that I would add this starfish. And I was originally thinking down here, but this feels a little more empty. So I think I'm gonna put the starfish here. Now that does mean that it's gonna hang over, and I've got this little bit here, and it's not very attractive. It's also, because this is a tag, it's gonna move in and out, and I don't really want something super, super lightweight. So what I think I'm gonna do is take a little piece of paper, and let me grab my little glue mat again, and I'm just gonna put some glue onto this paper, and I'm not being super precise because I don't really need to be. I just want to put a little bit of, how am I doing this? So this one. I just want to put a little bit of this here, because then it will, you'll see this on the back side rather than just the plain white paper. And that is a good thing. Now, because I glued over this, it's going to be kind of sticky. So let me grab some scissors I don't care as much about, and go ahead and, because I had sort of, when I cut this out, I sort of fussy cut a little bit on the bumps, so it would have some dimension. So, because at the time I didn't know I was going to need to back it. So when I glue this down and we flip it over, oh, wrong one. When I glue this down and then we flip it over, instead of the plain paper, we have the book page on the other side, which is kind of fun. And of course, we have to distress it. A little bit of inky dinky do. And I am going to go ahead and do the same thing on the back. It's easier, I think, to do it when you can hold it. Okay, so I don't want to do too much on this tag, but I do want to do a little bit more with this starfish. And so two other stamps that I love to use are this postage cancellation and this postage cancellation stamp. So I think I'm gonna use that here and here, just to add a little bit more dimension. But that means that I need to glue this down so that I can stamp on it. And so I gotta be careful here, because I don't want to get glue everywhere. All right, so I think I like this right there. Maybe up a little bit higher. And I'm okay with it hanging off. And then there we go. Okay, and then now to stamp the postage mark and this, I'm going to use black ink rather than, oh, not this one though, rather than the distressed ink, because this image has black ink on it, and I'm trying to kind of not really match, but sort of go along with that. So almost as though this was a postcard. And I'm just realizing this is from Paris, and this tag says made in France. That was not thought out ahead of time. It's just what I have, but kind of a fun, serendipitous little thing there. Okay. So I am liking that. I'm not sure if I want to do anything else or if I just want to leave it like that. So for now, I am going to just leave it like that. Let me get this out of the way. And, oh no, do you see what I did? This was not thought out. It hangs over. Bummer, bummer. And I've already stamped. You know what? It's just going to have to be what it is, because I don't want to change it. So it'll get folded over, and I'm fine. I can live with that. Yeah, I'm totally fine. Yeah, that's... It is what it is. It just is what it is. Okay, so now I can glue the back side of this down, and again, because I am using creating a belly band, and it's going to get some extra weight on it, I'm not going to use my glue stick. I am going to use my art glitter glue because I feel like it's a little bit more stable. And actually, a lot of times when I do belly bands, I use tape or red tape. I don't know why I actually didn't, because that's typically what I do. And that's okay. All right, so it's glued down. I'm putting this here just in case some glue seeps out so that it doesn't get on the facing page and mess everything up. All right, I am sort of sad that I didn't think this through a little better, but it is what it is, and that's okay. So, and then I also thought, I have this card. I think it's from a Project Life set, and the back is sort of fun, but I really liked the front to do some journaling with. And so, and I thought I could always glue something on the back. I am getting ready to go on vacation, and we are going to the beach. So this is also going to be sort of like within the journal, a little bit of a title page for me, with, you know, the name of the beach or summer vacation, or I haven't quite decided what I'm going to put yet. And I'll probably do that down here. And then the rest of the journal, most of it anyway, will be, so these pages here will be vacation. And then if I have anything else after vacation before I go back to school, I've always got this pocket back here that I can tuck things in. This is also a great place for keeping things that I find that don't end up working on a page, but that I want to keep. I can tuck them in here. So let me just put that back in there so it stays stuck. So I've got this, and again, because I'm going on vacation, we actually check in on Saturday. So it works out real well because I can kind of make a quick note about what we do each day. And that'll be kind of like a fun way to do a snapshot of our vacation. And I also like the way that it layers on top of this tag. So the last thing that I need to do is do something here. I still have not used my favorite stamp, and I've not used my music, and I think that is what's going to happen here. I'm going to tear this again because when I tore it the last time, I tore this way, and I ended up with a jaggedy edge, a torn edge, but I can't see the white. You can see there's no white showing, but when I tear up, just because of the way that the paper works, I end up with that sort of white edge, and that's what I want here. I think I'm gonna put this edge right along, just grab my scissors, right along the edge of the tag, or the belly band. And I'm just gonna go ahead and tear. So it'll sit like that, and then maybe just like so. So it'll sort of hang off the edge. I want just a tiny bit of this darker color. So maybe, let's see, right here, trim that as well. And then kind of layer one on top of the other like so. And to do that, I'm just gonna get a little bit of glue going on the bottom edge here. The whole thing's gonna get glued down, so I don't have to be super careful or precise. It'll help that just pop just the tiniest bit. I love that, it's sweet. All right, and get my glue mat one more time. And so even though the belly band gets a lot of action, I'm adhering this onto the belly band, which is pretty thick and glued down fairly well. So I think I will be fine to just use the glue stick to adhere that down. And then I am gonna go over this edge just a little bit so that it has the shading. All right, that is coming along nicely. I definitely want to use my stamp here. I'm not sure if it's going to show up though. So I wonder if I stamped on this. I don't know. Let's see. Actually, let me stamp first, and then I will. Now, I'm not sure if I want to use the distressed photo, which is what I prefer, but on this, I'm not sure if it's going to show up. So I'm not using the smaller one, so I'm going to just ink this up and test it on the smaller one to see. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead. I do want a firmer surface than that, so get some more ink, and I am going to put it a little off kilter. She's so sweet. Okay, and then we'll cut. So I just had a thought, and that is I've got this sort of mini version of the larger image, which is going to be on my tag here. And I can use that as well. It was not what I had started out planning to do, but I can. And so what I will do is course, I got to edge it. So this will be a fun little bit to include on the back of my tag, just as a little embellishment. And yay! Oh, I didn't edge this. I almost wonder, even though I've been edging everything else in this color, I wonder if to get this to pop a little bit more, I should use the black. This is just Color Box black. But I think just because I've got a very tone-on-tone thing going on here, that I need to, yeah, that was the right choice. Let that pop just a tiny bit. Okay. So this is almost good. I do think that I need to find something relatively neutral behind it. I happen to have this piece of tissue paper on my desk, and it's the right color and the right size, and so that's the perfect thing to use. It's there and available. Okay, now I'm just tearing this and then figuring out which way I want it to sit. Nope, this way. So when you use tissue paper and you crumple it and then you flatten it back out again, it sits pretty flat, but you still see the texture. And I love that about tissue paper. Now what I am going to do, here's a little trick. I'm going to put this down, but then before it dries, I am going to squinch it just a little bit to give it a little teeny bit more texture peeking out from the back, because it's not completely flat. And then I am going to use the glitter glue on here, and that's mostly because I want the edges of this to lift up just a little bit, even the label, so that it feels a little bit more three-dimensional. And yeah, okay, I think it just needs one more touch, a little something something here. That is too big. I've got just the thing. Give me 1 second. All right, this sweet little button is going to be the last little something something on this belly band. I'm going to put it right there. I am going to use my Fabri-Tac, mostly because in my brain I feel like the Fabri-Tac is going to stick better with the button, and there is no scientific reason behind that. It seems like the right thing to do, so that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to actually push this down and let the glue kind of pop through the buttonholes. That way I know it will stay stuck. Okay, so I think I'm satisfied with that belly band. I like the way that it turned out. It's just sort of sweet and simple. It's the tag, I guess, is really the focal point, much more than the belly band. So I guess I kind of have two things going on, and that is okay. And you know what? I think Now I have one more idea. I was going to say, I think I'm done, but I've got one more thought. I have this string that I cut from the fabric that I used to make the inside of this journal, the journal cover. And I've used it on a bunch of pages, and I like doing little bits of texture, and this will add some texture without a ton of bulk onto the page. And the glue that I put down to adhere the button will help that to hold. And then I'm gonna, now there's loops here. I did that on purpose. And I'm going back and I'm trimming the loops so that they're different lengths. So I think it's easier to loop it and wrap it and then cut it rather than trying to do all those individual strands. Okay, that works for me. One last thing. I feel like this tag needs something on the top, and I don't have a lot that's poking out from the top of the journal. It's all from the sides this time. And I do love me some stuff hanging off the top. So let me first grab, I love this slotted punch. It's for like ID badges is what they sell it for. But it's great for adding a slot that you can then put some kind of fiber or something through. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of ink there. All right, and that works. Now I need to go grab something to create the tassel at the top. How awesome are these? I have had them in my stash forever. I don't do a lot with orange or rust, so they've been sort of sitting unused, but I think they are gorgeous with this, and so they are going to get used. I also have this pink sari silk that I've used in other places, and I'm gonna incorporate some of that as well into this little tag topper thing. And yeah, so let me tear this off. Woo, got strings everywhere. All right. Even by itself would be really, really gorgeous. But I think I sort of feel like, since it's the last day of the challenge, that, you know, maybe I should do a little more than normal, because eyelash yarn is just too fun. And oh, that was a mistake to tape that. It was a good idea at the time. All right. And then maybe just one. I don't want this so thick that I can't tie it. And actually, let me grab a little bit more of that white that we used, since I have it. And I think that'll offset the other the other colors really nicely. Right, so I have some threads now that are essentially the same length as my sari silk. And so I'm just gonna take them, layer them on top of my sari silk so they just kind of make a little bundle. And then I'm gonna feed them through the tag and tie it off at the top. Okay, that turned out super cute. I'm really, really happy with that. It doesn't quite lay how I thought it would. It's a little more bunny ears than I was hoping it would sit a little more this way. But that's okay. I don't mind. It's just a little unexpected. So go ahead and tuck that in. And I think that is a wrap. The only thing I have left to do is my label for today's prompt. Let me go ahead and do that, and we'll figure out where to put it, and then I think we will be done. All right, and there we go. Get a little bit, I'm gonna trim because this is so long. I'm gonna trim this, and I'll trim the other side once I pull off the tab. So I gotta decide where to put this. I was originally thinking it might look nice here, but I feel like it's too long and right in the middle. So I'm gonna leave that alone. Another place that I could put it is here, although I think actually just to sort of counteract that, I would put it over this way. That is also an option. I could also just put it down here at the bottom. And honestly, I think I'm gonna do that just because, I don't know, it just doesn't feel, here or here, this way. It just doesn't feel right on the tag. And it's sort of, the page sort of ends up feeling this way, and then I can put my little thing for where I'm going on vacation down here, and it can sit below the tab. So I think ultimately that will work. I just need to do that piece. But that will be later on. I think we're good. And I think we're done. That's the end of Junk Journal July 2026. Wow, thank you so much for joining me. I hope that you learned something, found something that inspired you, enjoyed coming along with me as I created. I hope that if you just joined me during this challenge, that you continue to stay with my channel. I don't typically post every single day unless I'm doing a challenge like this, but I do try and post once a week, typically on Mondays. And so you can still follow along. And I will come back after I do my sort of vacation pages and share that. Maybe even do a video of those makes while I'm on vacation, if the muse strikes me. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me on this month-long journey in July. I thank you so much for coming. And as always, I hope that you make a really great day. Goodbye.